Welcome back to Andy Cooks, and we are in our new space, which is super exciting. A bit more bench space and a bit more space to kind of just try and make these videos as good as we can. So comment below what you think about the new space, but that's enough about that because today we are making brick chicken. So brick chicken seems like a strange concept, but basically all it is using weight on top of the chicken to make it cook nice and crispy and super even, and it actually makes cooking a chicken a lot faster. This recipe was taught to me by a legend by the name of Sammy Sweetheart, who's got a restaurant in Blenheim, New Zealand called Frank's Oyster House and Eatery. Go check it out if you're near down there. Sammy's the guy that also gave me the Michelin man up there that you see in a lot of my videos. Sammy's a legend and a genuine sweetheart. But anyway, what you're gonna need. But just quickly, before we get started, do me a huge favor and go and smash that like button. Helps me out heaps. So obviously, we're gonna need a chicken. This is a really nice free-range organic chicken, but just get whatever you can get your hands on or whatever you can afford. And we're gonna need some good kitchen shears to deal with this chicken. I'll show you how to do with that in a second. And then we're gonna keep the seasonings really simple. Salt and pepper, that's all we're gonna use. But by all means, if you wanna kind of use any kind of other barbecue seasoning or anything you kind of can, just be careful that the sugar content's not too high. If the sugar content's too high, you will burn the skin. And then we're gonna make a real simple pan sauce. So butter, shallots, lemon, and then I've got some chives and oregano. Tarragon also works really well, or parsley, any kind of green herb. But we just want a really light, nice sauce to finish at the end. You can also use a bit of white wine to deglaze, and we'll use a bit of chicken stock as well. And then as far as equipment, you're gonna need a brick. We're actually gonna use a different brick, 1 second. So we're actually gonna use these 2 bricks, and the reason being is they fit in my pan better. And I found these after I had this one. And we're gonna need a foil to cover these, obviously for hygiene reasons. But anyway, let's get stuck in and butcher this chicken. All right, so I'm just gonna put a bit of parchment down because I don't have my red chopping board here. But we're gonna roll this chicken onto its back, and with a good pair of kitchen shears, just take the wingtips off. And then we're just gonna cut down the backbone each side. So between the backbone and the hind leg, all the way out the neck. Same on the other side. You can keep this for a stock if you're doing it. And then from here, we're just gonna pull it open a bit and then put it down so that the breasts are facing up. And then we're gonna give it a good push. And that just cracks the backbone and you get a really nice flat surface, which is why we're gonna get super crispy skin. Push that out a bit, make sure it's nice and flat. If your pan's small, you can chop the legs off here as well. If you can avoid it, don't, because what will happen is the meat will pull up. Anyway, nice and flat. Then I'm gonna wash my hands and then we're gonna season this. So before we season it, we're gonna need something to bind it. So, what's that? So we're just gonna use a little bit of olive oil and rub it in. And all that does is just give something for the seasoning to stick to. So you don't want like a really strong olive oil or extra virgin, just a normal cooking olive oil that won't burn. Now that your chicken is all massaged up, looks like it's going to the tanning salon, we can season it. So salt, and then the salt doesn't fly everywhere, which is nice. You can be relatively generous with this as well. Chicken likes salt. And pepper, I'll just wash my hands. That's it. Time to start cooking this thing. So you want a heavy base pot. Skillet, like a proper skillet works really well for this. I like this dish as well, this works really well. And you don't really want a non-stick pan. I think cast iron's best for this. Once you've got a bit of heat in there, get some oil in there. We're gonna heat that up till it just starts smoking and we're gonna get the chicken in. Once we've got the chicken in here, it's into the oven and then the bricks onto it at 180 degrees Celsius. And we'll leave it for about 30 minutes and see how it comes out. All right, so our oil is up to temp. I can kind of see that here. It hasn't started smoking too much yet though. It's super important when you're using cast iron, even these enamel coated ones, that you do heat it up first. If you don't, it'll stick. So in she goes, breast side down. And in the oven. Now we put our bricks on. So while that chicken's in the oven at 180 degrees for around 30 minutes, we'll check it at 30 minutes, we can start prepping the stuff for the pan sauce. So we've got a couple of shallots here. Just gonna peel them and slice them. All right, shallots sliced. I'm just gonna slice some herbs. Probably won't need all these herbs, but probably half these chives, just nice and thin. And some fresh oregano, which we'll just pick, and we'll just run a knife through it. All right, so that was 30 minutes exactly. We're just gonna pull these bricks off and check the temperature. So we're looking for something around 70 degrees, and that will probably carry over to 75 to make sure it's properly cooked. You want the thickest part, so the thickest part of the breast or the drum right near the bone, that's definitely, we're there. So that's just cracked 70 there. So we're going to carefully pull this out, and this is what we're after. Nice golden color. We'll let that rest there. Next step is to make the pan sauce. So we've got all this beautiful fond in the bottom of the pan and quite a bit of fat, and a lot of that fat's rendered out from the chicken. There's probably a little bit too much fat, so we're just going to drain a little bit off. We're going to drain a little bit of this fat off. Make sure you keep this. This is chicken fat's delicious. And we'll keep about that much in there. And definitely try and keep all this beautiful fond. It's a lot of flavor in there. So back on the heat. Just bring that up to temperature again before then we'll add our shallots. So shallots in. Just saute those down. So don't add any salt at this point, because there's going to be a lot of residual salt still in the bottom of that pan. So now we've started to sweat our shallots down. We're getting a bit of colour on the bottom. We're going to deglaze this with a little bit of white wine. Now you can also use verjuice, or if you don't have any of that, so verjuice is basically white pressed grape juice, but it's got no alcohol. Or if you don't have anything else, you could just use water if you needed to. So scrape all that beautiful fond off the bottom of the pan, and then let that reduce to pretty much nothing before we add some chicken stock and reduce that. And this is a very basic pan juice, and you can pretty much pull this together with whatever you got. If you've got onions instead of shallots, that's fine. Put a little bit of crushed garlic in there is really nice. So now we're going to go in with chicken stock. So we've got pretty much 2 cups of chicken stock. Just let that emulsify in, just give it a good stir. And we want that to reduce by about half. So we've reduced this by half, and we're going to add 50 grams of unsalted butter and just stir that in. Butter makes everything better. At that point we'll test for seasoning, and then we're going to add all our fresh herbs. Now this sauce you don't want to be super thick, you just want you know, like a nice consistency. You don't want like a crazy thick sauce that sticks too much to the chicken. All right, let's check for seasoning. Okay, it needs a little bit of salt, not much. And it needs a bit of lemon. A little bit of acid like that can always livens up sauce. If you don't have any lemon, just any vinegar will work for that. I mean, lemon works really well with chicken, but that, you know, getting that balance right with the acidic is really important. Oh, that's banging. All right, herbs, chives, oregano, but pretty much use whatever you want. Stir those through. Heat's off. We're not trying to cook those herbs out. We're just trying to infuse it a bit, and it's time to serve. And that's hot. All right, so to serve this, really simply, I wouldn't even carve it, on a plate. Sauce over the top. And nice slice of lemon for the side. And there you have it, brick chicken, pan sauce, all in under 30 minutes. This is an incredibly fast and delicious way to cook a chicken. I guess we better taste it. Surprise myself sometimes. You know a chicken's good when the breast is even nice and juicy. That's yum. Super juicy. Breasts and legs are cooked really evenly, which is nice. It's always tricky to get right when you're roasting a chicken. Delicious, super simple. Cook this next weekend, cook it middle of the week, whenever. Not too expensive, easy to pull off, and feeds the whole family. Thanks for watching, legends. Chuck me a like if you haven't already, subscribe if you're not, and we'll see you next week for another recipe. Peace.